President Trump and the Tea Party are openly feuding on Twitter. So let's go ahead and take a look at my favorite of the back and forths here. So as you can see, the little tweet there is President Trump himself saying, "The Freedom Caucus will hurt the entire Republican agenda if they don't get on the team and fast. We must fight them and Dems in 2018. Justin Amash is another Republican, libertarian leaning congressman, and he also was sniping at Trump. But let's go back and look at Thomas Massey's tweet there. This is another Tea Party member, Freedom Caucus member. He says, "Donald Trump, it's a swamp, not a hot tub. We both came here to drain it. Swamp Care polls 17%. Sad." Yeah, here's the thing. They're both wrong in this back and forth. Now, the reason I say this is Trump is mad that the Freedom Caucus didn't get on board to support the Obamacare replacement bill. That bill was an epic disaster. So we've gone over it before, but according to the nonpartisan CBO, it would leave 53 or 52 million people without health insurance. It would gut Medicaid to the tune of $880 billion. It's a $600 billion tax cut for the rich. It takes the uninsured rate from 10% to 19%. I mean, it's just, all the facts about it are horrific, to the point where it's stunning anybody could push for it with a straight face. They just have to deny the effects that it will have in order to push it, and that's what they did. So Trump is pushing that, and it's a horrible bill, so I'm against him because he's pushing it. But then the Freedom Caucus is also wrong because it's not like they're against the bill because they understand, hey, this is going to be really draconian and hurt people. Their counter-argument is, no, that's not draconian enough. So they're mad because the bill isn't worse. And I'm not just saying that. It's on the record that their main point of contention was, hey, you kept in the what's called the essential benefits portion of Obamacare. Now, in that portion of the bill, they have insurance companies can no longer reject you for pre-existing conditions. They have kids can stay under their parents' health insurance until they're 26 years old. And they have other things which are considered essential health benefits. Under Trump Care, or Ryan Care, whatever you want to call it, they said we got to keep that, because if we get rid of that, then the Republicans are just going to forget it. They're going to get wiped out in the next election. You can't wake up the next day and say, oh, people that have pre-existing conditions, we're now going to allow health insurance companies to screw you again. Like, that would get such bad press, even with our disgusting press that's establishment and corrupt, and they could barely keep their eye on the ball. But that would be such an egregious act that they would even crack down on that and be like, what did you just do? So they knew that, but the Freedom Caucus said, no, we told you we want a full repeal. That means every single provision of Obamacare, even if the provision is over 85% popular, we don't care. We want you to get rid of it. So in a weird way, the Freedom Caucus saved us, because if they all got on board, this bill could have passed and we'd be fucked. So they saved us in that respect, but understand the reason why they're against the bill is not because they think the bill, is too draconian. They think it's not draconian enough and they would have gone further. So they're both wrong in this back and forth. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because on the one hand, strength in a politician is beloved. And oftentimes, unfortunately, it doesn't even matter what side of the issue you're on. If you show strength, the American people warm up to that, and they think that's great. And polls show that when you make a case, you move the polls. Polls show that when you make a case, you move the polls. So in other words, Obamacare was popular at the beginning, and then the Republicans hammered away, even saying things that weren't true, but they moved the polls. Now, the specific provisions of Obamacare always remain popular, but when you ask people overall, hey, what do you think of Obamacare? Because of the Republican onslaught against it, they moved the polls against it. So strength is good, but right now Trump has a 35% approval rating. and it's dropping. So him using the bully pulpit and using it specifically against the hardcore base of his party, the far-right base of his party, that could backfire. Because even if there's a split in that base, in that, I don't know, let's say half the people in the Tea Party base are siding with Trump and half of them are siding with the Freedom Caucus, the Tea Partiers, that's devastating. That's devastating for, future elections. So the infighting in the Republican Party is awesome to watch. And it also shows that, like we've maintained all along, they have no real core ideology anymore. That's the other aspect of this to remember, is that when the Democrats did the old school Republican proposal, Obamacare, which is an individual mandate system, which is exactly like Richard Nixon's proposal and Bob Dole's proposal and what Mitt Romney did in Massachusetts and what the Heritage Foundation wrote about, a right-wing think tank. When the Democrats did the old school Republican bill, the Republicans had nowhere to go. So they built themselves on opposition and obstruction against Obama. But then now that they're in power, okay, govern. What do you want to actually do with healthcare? They ended up, basically putting together an amalgamation of right-wing talk radio talking points and saying, hey, this is what we want to implement. Hey, get rid of the lines around the states and then everything will, magically be better. And we want, free markets and stuff. Yeah. Well, when the rubber meets the road on policies like that, the end result is what? Exactly what the CBO was saying. Oh, you're going to increase the number of uninsured people by millions. You're going to gut Medicaid. You're going to do effectively a tax cut to the rich. So that's not going to work. People are going to hate that. So in the feud between the Tea Party and President Trump, there are no winners.